They laughed. Not the casual, passing kind. It was sharp, deliberate, the kind meant to cut. "She pays, we win," Mom smirked, glass of wine in hand. "Who cares if she starves?" Dad didn't miss a beat. "Useless. Doesn't deserve the house anyway." I stood in the hallway, still in my work uniform, the smell of fryer oil clinging to my skin after my third shift that day. The mortgage I'd been breaking my body to pay was no longer mine. The papers were already signed. They'd transferred the deed to my sister as a gift. My contribution just erased, like I'd never bled for it. I didn't step into the room, didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing my face break. I just walked upstairs. Quiet. Because quiet meant they had no idea what was coming. Back then, I thought family was a promise. I was wrong. When the mortgage first came up, they'd told me, "It's all of ours, we just need help keeping it." I was fresh out of college, saddled with debt, but I said yes, because they were my parents, because that house had been the backdrop of my childhood. Birthdays, burnt Thanksgiving turkeys, the dent in the hallway from when my sister and I played tag indoors. They promised me security. They gave me debt instead. The signs were there. The smirks when I mentioned my double shifts. The sudden hush when I walked into a room. The way my sister stopped pretending to be broke. New phone, new clothes, weekend trips. I wanted to believe it was coincidence, until I saw the document. It was on Dad's desk, half covered by a pile of unopened mail. The title deed. My sister's name printed clean and bold where mine should have been. I didn't touch it. I didn't confront them. I just took a photo. That night, I didn't cry. I opened my laptop. Revenge wasn't going to be a scene. It was going to be a sequence. And I would play it so slowly, so precisely, they wouldn't even see the hook until it was already in their throats. Step 1. The accounts. Over the years, I'd taken over most of the household bills to make it easier for them. That meant I had access. Bank logins, utility accounts, insurance policies. I moved everything to paper statements. Then I stopped autopay on anything in my name. They wouldn't feel it at first, but the quiet damage had begun. Step 2. The mortgage history. I pulled every receipt, every transfer, every confirmation email showing my payments for the last 7 years. I had proof that I'd carried the weight, that I wasn't just some tenant. I sent them to my lawyer, the one they didn't know I had. Step 3. The sister. She was enrolled in a private grad program, paid for, in part, by family funds. Funds that, thanks to my overpayment on the mortgage, technically included my money. I called the bursar's office pretending to be her assistant and confirmed the payment schedule. Then I called the bank and quietly shut down the shared account where those tuition payments came from. Deadline to pay? 3 weeks. I marked my calendar. 3 weeks later, it began. First came the letters, late notices for utilities, insurance, and the car Dad liked to brag about. Then the emails from the school. My sister's enrollment was at risk due to payment failure. Then my lawyer sent the formal letter to my parents, a demand for repayment of my contributions or I'd be filing for fraud and unjust enrichment. The morning it all hit, my phone lit up before sunrise. Mom. Then Dad. Then my sister. I didn't answer. At 8:40 a.m., the school sent the final withdrawal notice to my sister. I knew, because she'd forwarded it to me with a single text, "What did you do?" I waited until that night to call. She picked up on the first ring, voice shaking with rage. "You're ruining everything!" she spat. "No," I said. "Calm. I'm collecting." "You can't just—" "I paid for that house," I cut in. 7 years of my life. You think you can take it without consequence? Think again. She went quiet. I could almost hear her realizing The tuition, the utilities, the insurance, all of it had been a lifeline I'd just cut. By the next week, my parents were scrambling, selling off furniture, borrowing from relatives, anything to plug the holes. But every time they tried, they found another leak, because I'd made sure of it. They'd signed for that house without reading the fine print, the lien I'd placed months earlier when I updated the mortgage paperwork, which meant they couldn't sell, refinance, or even legally gift it without clearing my claim first. They'd trapped themselves. The confrontation came 2 months later. I was sitting in the diner where I now worked one job. My other two were no longer necessary. They slid into my booth, faces pale and tight. "You're tearing this family apart," Mom said. "No," I replied, stirring my coffee. "You did that when you sold me out."